because of the time constraint that it takes. But apparently, just to give us a quick introduction of it, is just to look at what are the costs of each activities or WBS. So sometimes you cost load your project with either WBS. I believe we all remember what WBS is. So you cost load your project from WBS and allocate cost in front of your project, or you cost load your project from the activities. So each activities, for example, you will allocate resources to them. And before you allocate the resources will have been in a cost. So let's assume, okay, let's say, okay, labor cost, for example. It won't show on this because we haven't allocated any labor cost. But let's assume you have allocated labor to these activities. Rows. So if you have resource loaded and you have put roles and responsibilities, so this is more or less like where you're going to be working on it. We haven't got anything. No, we haven't got anything yet. So before you can do this, you need to create a role. It's a long process. So I think it's just technically it's just for you to have a bit of an assumption of this. This alone can take us 5 lectures for you to be able to understand this. It's a lot of work, but just to give us a summary of how it works. So on the back end, you will have created roles. And when you create roles, you will have allocate costs to them. You will have allocate costs to them. There's a place where you can break down and allocate costs to each roles. And then, the resources as well. Let's assume the laborers, the machine and equipment. So when you come here, after you've done that, all of them will be listed here. So let's say, for example, for argument's sake, it's a structural designer on site for pre-design visits. So you now said, who is the person that is coming? You will drop down everything. You select maybe the engineer, design supervisor. Okay. And you look at what are the other things they're coming with that you need to allocate. Okay, this one will not allocate to us because this is another company. So I don't want us to use another company's on so that we're not gonna get they didn't even put price on them. So this is not fully cost loaded. Normally there will be price here. So if I assign this person now, it will assign there and it will give me the price here. Let's assume I assign 2 people, 2 of these, and maybe one of them is £100, the other one is 150. This way we change to 250. So that is how the cost is reflecting. So when you are actualizing the activities that the activities is done, you'll be reducing the price here. And let's assume we put resources on all of them, okay? It will give, let's say you put 2 here, you put 4 here, 3, 5, and at the end of the day, this one is 250, this one is 700. So the total sum of all of them will reflect here. That is their WBS, will reflect here. So anytime you are updating your program and you are saying this one is completed, it will subtract the amount of that person from the overall here. And you will see less. So anytime you are updating your program, that is what it means by updating with resources. So anytime you are updating, saying this is completed, you go here and you go here, status, and you actualize. So you know actualize means it's completed. It will take off the cost. Okay? So where the difference will now happen is this. Let's assume this is meant to be completed in January 6th. And January 6th, you now change this date that is going to be completed in 10th of January. It will increase the money and it will increase this. Okay? So when the QS are looking at the costs and they see that your costs have increased, they will tell you, Mr. Project Manager, now you are running loss because there is a budget for this work, which you have already in the budget when you make this. But when you are going outside the budget, maybe the budget is 1,000, for example. And when you finish putting cost on all this, you are still in 700 here. But in their own book for this WBS is 1,000. But after you put cost of what you need and resources, it's still 700. Oh, very good. They'll be happy that you are 7,300. But the moment you can see now that this was when we were at 6th, okay, this was 20. Sorry, this was 20. When you now late, you delay till 10th, this become 4. Definitely you have added 4 days more when you need these people. So it's going to increase their cost because they are paid per day. So that is what will happen. And remember, what we are trying to save is time, cost, and resource and the scope. So when you begin to increase the time, the cost will increase. Anything that happens to any of the 3 we mentioned, it will impact that. That's just what an updating with resources is trying to explain. So that is just a big breakdown of everything that you see in here. These are just the questions you need to ask yourself. So if you said yes, this my project is yes to all these questions, then you need to now start asking your QS. Please, Mr. QS, can you tell me where we have our resources cost breakdown? So there is an Excel spreadsheet that will show you the resources cost breakdown. Please, if you can put it in your notes, if you are taking notes, I can show you one of them, but I can't show it on this because of confidentiality. So you will know the cost of Mr. Engineer, you know the cost of the supervisor. So when you are now putting these rows together in your P6, you will put the same cost in front of them. So anytime you are assigning them to any work, we'll be telling you the cost of them in the front here. So if you need this, you assign it to, it will give you the total cost. The system can do it by itself. So anytime you are updating your program saying, oh, that is done, that one is completed, it will be reducing the cost. And anytime your duration increase, in terms of when it's meant to be 11th and it become 18th, you see that 5 is going to change, become 10. It will increase the cost here as well because the cost is multiplied by duration of when you need them. And that is what the summary of what all of that is all about. But I can guarantee you're not going to be doing that in the first 2 years on job. If your job is going to be like that, then you must be probably a senior planner or intermediate planner. So if you are within a junior planner or a planner, which is just beginning or higher than beginning, but not senior, whom they won't expect you to cost load. They will cost load and just expect you to keep updating. And they'll just be meeting with you and saying, oh, Bro Abraham, when you did this last week, it was 5 days, now it's 10 days, and that affects your cost. So you will now say, oh, okay, how can you mitigate that to bring it down a little bit for it to for your cost to reduce? Then you start that discussing with your project team. So monitoring and control resources schedule, I think these are all the things I've just explained to you.